Welcome to All Theory, No Conspiracy. Don't forget to like, subscribe, click to receive notifications, and leave a comment. This video is about creating a narrative regarding what occurred on the night of Brian Jones' death that may not be in line with the official story. It seems there is more to that picture than meets the eye. If you are ready, let's begin. Brian Jones was born Louis Brian Hopkins Jones on the 28th of February 1942 in Cheltenham, UK, which is 98 miles or 158 kilometers west of London. He came from a middle-class family which included his mother Louisa and father Louis. Brian also had two sisters, one named Pamela, who was born in 1944 and died of leukemia at just 1 year old, and another named Barbara, who was born in 1946. Young Brian was said to be preoccupied with what happened to Pamela. Brian had a middle-class upbringing. He had musical parents. His mother taught piano and his father played keyboard instruments. Brian picked up guitar and harmonica and taught himself how to play. Brian was turned on to jazz music at an early age and later developed an affinity for American blues, becoming a devotee. He relocated to London in his early 20s after hitchhiking around Europe and Scandinavia, and there he met up with British blues performer Alexis Korner. Korner introduced Brian to Michael, Mick Jagger, Keith Richards, Ian Stewart, and Dick Taylor, with whom he formed an early version of the Rolling Stones, so named after a line from a Muddy Waters song. The Rolling Stones added bassist Bill Wyman and local drummer Charlie Watts, and formed the original lineup of the band. After building a following in and around London, they hired a manager named Andrew Lou Goldham, a 19-year-old former assistant to Beatles manager Brian Epstein. The mid to late 1960s was a great period in the history of the Rolling Stones, where they turned out many hit songs and albums. They also endured plenty of scandals, including numerous arrests and drug busts. Manager Oldham's philosophy was, any press is good press. The 60s were also a period where Brian began to slide into serious drug and alcohol abuse, becoming unreliable as a regular performer and recording artist with the band. He became a liability in regards to international touring after numerous arrests for drug possession. In November of 1968, Brian purchased Cotchford Farm in Sussex, England. It was the former home of A. A. Milne, the author of Winnie the Pooh. Among many great features, it boasted a large outdoor swimming pool. More on that later. On June 8, 1969, Mick Jagger and Keith Richards visited Brian at Cotchford Farm to tell him he was being released from the Rolling Stones. Keith Richards has said that Brian did not seem surprised, and it was almost as though he was expecting it. In the following days and weeks, Brian stayed at Cotchford with his then-girlfriend, Swedish model Anna Wohlin. By some accounts, Brian had cut back his drug and alcohol intake and was thinking about making music again. Also staying at the farm at the time was Brian's chauffeur and minder and Stones employee, Tom Keylock. There was also a crew of builders doing renovations that were staying at the farm, including a man named Frank Thorogood. Brian told friends he was suspicious of some of the people at the house, as he was being overcharged for work and some of his personal belongings were missing. He was reportedly set to fire Frank Thorogood and his crew. On the evening of July 3, 1969, Brian Jones died. The official story stated that he drowned in his swimming pool after consuming alcohol, which mixed with medication. The coroner ruled it death by misadventure. Brian Jones was dead at 27. However, there were some rumors that Jones had in fact been accidentally drowned in the pool after roughhousing with Frank Thorogood, who dunked him under the water too aggressively. Tom Keylock claimed Thorogood made a deathbed confession in 1993, where he stated to Keylock that, "It was me that did Brian. I just finally snapped." Sam Cutler, the former tour manager of the Rolling Stones, suggested that Tom Keylock was the only suspect in a private investigation launched by Stones manager Alan Klein, and that Keylock had acted suspiciously in the days after Jones' death, removing and destroying items at Cotchford Farm. Keylock was also the person who personally broke the news of Brian's death to the other members of the Rolling Stones, who were recording at Olympic Studios. This is according to journalist Keith Altham, who was present when Keylock arrived with the news. In the excellent 2020 documentary titled Rolling Stone: The Life and Death of Brian Jones by Danny Garcia, Garcia provides a credible theory that Jones may have been drowned in a water trough that was near the house and then dragged to and thrown in the pool. Validation for that theory is that the autopsy report stated that Brian drowned by immersion in fresh water. A swimming pool is filled with chlorinated water. There is a link to the autopsy report in the description of this video, as well as links to the fantastic documentary by Danny Garcia and the article quoting Sam Cutler. Tom Keylock seems to have played a significant role in the more suspicious aspects of Jones' death. For some reason, the Sussex police report on Jones' death was sealed for 75 years. It turns out that Frank Keylock, Tom's brother, was a high-ranking detective with the Criminal Investigations Department. The end? Stay tuned for more content from All Theory, No Conspiracy. Thank you for watching.